totally different shiur than before. We're going to try have a little fun, even though wild shilas in halacha that came about in the last 8 or so months, 9 months. First shaila, since I was here once and I know some of you and I heard, oh Hashem, tremendous Talmidei Chachomim, I'm going to present a case. I'm going to ask you, Mitzvah Hashem, to allow us to know what is the correct halachic approach to resolve our dilemma. Listen to a Monsey. Simchas Torah, Tav Shin Pei Dalet, the first sirens go off. In one of the hospitals down south, one of the nurses, first time she heard the real deal, and she was so nervous she ran away. She was trained 1,000,000 times. When you hear a siren, you don't run, you don't leave the patients. If it's a patient that can be taken with you to the safe place, that's what you do. And if not, you stay with the patient. But she freaked out. Siren first time, frightening. She ran away. The management now comes and asks, should we fire her? Can we fire her? Or do we keep her in her position? Listen, a young girl, she was very nervous. She says, it's the first time, it'll never happen again. Can we rely on her? One strike, you're out. Or maybe not. Shimuna, Rabbi Isai, Dayani Mumchim. What do you say, Rabbi Isai? Not everybody together. When you're yelling at me, I can't hear. One by one. Involved? What does it say there?
It talks about parting someone's job right away without Asra.
The source is in the Gemara in Baba Basra Chaf Aleph. There's some people who you don't even have to give Asra. Who are these lucky people?
What's their contract then?
The Shoichet. One mistake, he's feeding us, all of us, treifis. The Soifer. One mistake in his get, and he's matir and eshes ish to the shuk. The Rebbe. One mistake that you put into a kid's brain when he's young. You know what happened with Shaul HaMelech, right? One little mistake. I didn't hear Zecher, I heard Zachar. One little mistake. It says, Shavashta Kevan de Al. A mistake, once it comes in, it stays. One of the other people there is a doctor. One strike, you're out. That's Pashut why. One mistake, and who knows what the result is. Can we say the nurse is like a doctor? Not so sure she gets the same status. But anyways, there's a machlokes Shulchan Aruch in Ramah in that siman in Shin Vav Seif Yud Aleph. Shulchan Aruch says, you're out. Ramah says, wait, not so sure, not so sure. If you have a chazaka against you, you don't need a asra. She doesn't have a chazaka against her. According to Ramah, she can say, Kimli Karemo. And I'm not sure that her status as a nurse is equal to a doctor. Not so sure. The jury is still out about that one. So maybe we have to look elsewhere.
Why not?
It's a chiddush to say that there is a person that doesn't need a asa. That in itself is a chiddush. It's hard to stretch it to other areas and say, you're just like a doctor. It's kind of hard. If they didn't say it for us, this is jeopardizing a parnasa. On the other hand, it's din and nefashos. Without having a source to say she is a doctor, it's kind of hard to take a person out of his job and say, you're like a doctor.
If you assume a doctor is like a special...
You're saying zil basar taima. Go with the reason. The reason makes sense. It's the same thing. She's in the middle of treatment and she runs away. The guy needs a treatment. You're just like a doctor. I hear what you're saying. It makes sense. But it's hard to stretch it when Chazal didn't say that. Because they didn't have nurses back then. But then again, can we stretch it?
Didn't exist. Any nurse today would be like the best doctor.
Maybe.
They didn't do it. She did a job. There's a mistake with the actual malach.
Oh, you hear what the Rebbe says? What are Chazal saying? You make a mistake in the treatment. Out! She didn't make a mistake in the treatment. She didn't give the treatment. But maybe not giving the treatment is like a mistake.
But it's not there.
So it's not the same thing. And anyway, she can say, I hold like the Rema. So I'm not sure that we can use that seif in Shulchan Aruch. So it seems like we have to look elsewhere. Do we have any source that we can play with? I'm not picky. I'll take anything. Chumash, Shulchan Aruch, Shas, Poiskim, Medrash, whatever you want. Adonenu Anetziv. Listen to Hamek Davar. Chumash Shemois. HaKadosh Baruch Hu speaks to Moshe. Moshe, You see the staff that you have in your hand? Throw it down. He does. He turns into a serpent. Vayonos Moshe Mipanov, and Moshe runs away. Whoa. Where are you running? Where are you running? You talking to the Rebbeinu Shalom? Listen to a language of the Netziv. Zehu pele me Adonenu Moshe. It's a wonderment. Our master Moshe, what are you doing? Meheichan hu nas, umeeize ma'amad hu nas. It's the language I'm quoting to you, Hamikdava. Where exactly are you running to? And from what are you running? You remember you're talking to the Rebbeinu Shalom, so you think over there is safer, right? You're with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. And if you run over there, Kadosh Baruch Hu can't send that Nachash over there. What are you doing? What are you doing? Shout out the Hamikdava. Says the Hamikdava, why are you so surprised? Yes, Moshe Rabbeinu, Adon HaNevim. No one like him. But he's also a human being. And when a human being is scared, when he sees a Nachash, when he's not expecting one, he freaks out. Says the nurse, what do you want? I have to be a tzaddikus more than Moshe Rabbeinu? I saw a Nachash. And for the very first time in my life, I heard such a thing, a siren, he had some drills. But when you hear it for the first time at 6:30 a.m. in the morning, it's scary. I ran away. Why do I have to be a good tzaddikus than Moshe Rabbeinu? Divrei Tam? Divrei Tam? Maybe we have another ayah. Shabbos Memtes Amud Aleph, the Gemara tells us a story. Elisha Baal Knafayim. What a strange name. Elisha, the wing owner. A Baal Knafayim. The Gemara says, the Romans decreed, anyone who will put on tefillin, they will puncture his brain. There's a man by the name of Elisha. He made it to the Shas. He's not a small man. Adam Gadol apparently. And Elisha says, Romans, I don't care. I'm putting on tefillin in the middle of Times Square. He went in the middle of the Yerushalmi, Times Square. I don't know exactly where he was in Eretz Yisrael. And he puts on tefillin. He starts saying, Mistami said Tehillim Sadi Aleph, like we said here. And suddenly, a Roman soldier comes. Shh, it's a Roman soldier. With guns. He starts running. He runs. And this guy is chasing after him. And he is in a much better shape. So he gets close to him. And Elisha sees he's so close, he takes off the tefillin and puts it in his jacket. And the soldier grabs it and says, "Oh! What you have over there? You have tefillin?" "No, ma pitom tefillin. Where'd you get tefillin from?" Say, "Yoin, I have a dove here." "A dove? Come on, a dove. Who are you kidding? Take it out!" And he takes out the tefillin, and it's no longer a tefillin, and the Kodesh Baruch Hu made a nest. Wings of a dove. That's why he gets a new title. His name is Elisha Baal Knafayim. Asks Maran Arav Eliashiv Zecher Tzaddik Livrocha in Sefer Ha'aros Shabbos Memtes Amud Aleph. Elisha, what happened? Did you say 5 minutes ago, Romans, I don't care? How come you started running? How come you took the tefillin off? You said, I don't care, I'm going to put tefillin in the middle of Times Square. So why'd you take them off? You're afraid? Elisha says, did you see? The Roman soldier with a gun! But you said, I don't care. Says Rabbi Eliashiv, you see from here, when a person is ahead of time, oh, I don't care about the Romans. And push comes to shove. A Roman soldier comes and he aims his gun to you. What do you think? You don't lose it? You do? I'm sorry. Adam Baal al Mamoinoi. He says, no, there's Mamon.
No, since he's Baal al Mamoinoi, and they want to be able to hold themselves at the Hilchos Shabbos, they gave this special Teilim or Cheshbonis.
Right.
Bahala makes a person lose
nothing right. But then maybe we're afraid he's going to think his Mamon is more afraid he's going to find some kind of a heter. Shabbos, Kodesh Baruch Hu probably wants me to keep this because I don't know, baby, Shasatcha. Here it's worse, it's Bahala for his life. So how much more so? If Bahala for Mammon, how much more so Bahala for his life?
But that person then can't be a nurse.
I'm sorry?
That person then can't be a nurse.
Oh, so she says, listen, it's the first time in my life. I promise you it never happened. I think it happens again. We'll all agree, kick her out. Because the other people on the staff didn't freak out. So it is possible to maintain your person and it's possible to continue giving treatment. But she says, I'm a young lady. It's the first time in my life. I'm telling you it's not going to happen again. I think we'll give her another chance. Elisha Baal Knafayim, Moshe Rabbeinu. What is Moshe Rabbeinu going to answer you? I'm talking to the Rebbeinu Shalom. Don't you know it? He knows it better than all of us together. And yet you ran away. You're running away from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So if Moshe Rabbeinu can run away, maybe also a nurse, a young girl, 23, 24.
Ruled by the paratroopers that if they don't go, they're out.
Avade, but she's not a paratrooper. She's not a paratrooper. She's just a nurse, a young little nurse. She's not a paratrooper yet. Many people ask about the Hannibal procedure, which is very relevant to us. Are you familiar with the Hannibal procedure? About 35 years ago or so, Israeli army implemented the Hannibal procedure. There was some kidnapping up north. So Israel put up signs all over, suggesting to the Hezbollah, to whoever is up north, it's going to try and kidnap civilians or our soldiers. Any car that is seen running away with one of our guys will shoot and explode the entire car, including our guy. This will make sure that there are no kidnapping. Question is this kosher? As to my best of my knowledge, this was not exercised thus far, Baruch Hashem. But the idea is to prevent all kidnapping. When you know you're going to explode, you're not going to do it. Well, you have nothing to gain. Until now, they thought once we have one of their guys, they're not going to do anything to us. If we're fast enough, we'll be able to cross the border. That's it. But now, it's not worth it. But is this kosher? Why is this so relevant to us today? Because, unfortunately, I think today there's still 120 hostages in their hands. Yemach shemam v'zichram. Can we exercise the Hannibal procedure? We obviously don't want to stomp to kill our guys, but it could be that we're going to go. Like the operation 2 weeks ago on Shabbos, 2.5 weeks ago, some of our guys are going to die. Can you do that? What do you say, Rabbi?
Can they volunteer to do it?
I'm sorry?
Can you do it, or can a soldier volunteer to do it?
What do you mean volunteer? I'm going in and I'm going to just spray everybody there. Could be that I'm going to hit one of our guys. Or maybe no, only when you know 100% or close to 100%, 70, 80, I don't know what, we'll play with the numbers later, that you can rescue the guy, then you can do it. But to go in, hoping maybe I'll be successful, maybe not. Who says you're allowed to do this? What do you say, Rabbi Say? You don't like it. You're not sure.
You're not asking about their own life.
I'm not asking what?
Their own life. You're risking their own life.
We're not talking about that. That's a pashut that they can. Otherwise, if you say no, we have to abolish the whole industry called police officers, firefighters, Hatzalah, everybody, bodyguards, soldiers. Once a person is a soldier, especially in wartime, that's his job. If you remember, there was a Monsey, I think 17 or 18 years ago, there was an Italian ship that was drowning. The captain of the ship, who's supposed to stay the last one, was the first one to jump out. Many people died. The Italian government sued him. The Italian government is right. He wanted to say, but Metzias Samech Beis, he's wrong. When you're hired for that job, and that's a description of your job, you have to stay, you have to be the last one. So you can't use that, can he risk? Avade. He's a soldier, he can. It's a Mishnah Buren, Shin Chavtes, Seif Tesvav, I think. Seif Chavtes. Seif Tesvav, Seif Kotten Tesvav, the Mishnah Buren says. When it comes to Hatzalos Nefashos, one is not chayav to endanger himself. He's not talking about a soldier. Stam. One is not chayav to endanger himself. But he adds some words over there. If you're so medakdek, I don't need to chayach hakoymin. Chas v'sholom soifo sheba lidei kach. And this is not about a trained professional who's hired for the job. So as a soldier, avade, they have permission to do it. The question is, are they allowed to do such a thing? About 80 or 85 years ago, time of the Chazon Ish, there was a Monsey, where there was a very big room. There's a lot of soldiers, Israeli soldiers, and a terrorist threw a hand grenade into that room. The grenade was rolling towards a very big group of soldiers that were standing on one side of the room. And one of the soldiers, when it came close to it, kicked it to the other side, where there were only 5 or 6 soldiers. It exploded and killed them. Is he allowed to do that? He saved so many people! He killed 5 innocent people that until now were not in harm's way. You allowed to do this?
Are you allowed to jump on the grenade?
Oh! Sergeant Roy Klein did that 8 or 9 years ago. And now, recently, this was done a couple times in the tank. When a grenade explodes in a tank, no one survives. It's a small, closed environment. So a few soldiers, when it happened, and the grenade actually made its way into the tank, jumped on it, took it into their stomach. They died. Some people were lightly injured, but some survived. If it explodes, everybody dies. If one jumps on it, there's a bigger chance. Tzadikim of the highest level. Are you allowed to do this?
That's for sure you're allowed to do it.
That's for sure you're allowed.
In a tank, you're allowed to do it.
You're allowed. Why are you allowed?
Everyone's dead.
Why are you allowed?
Because everyone's dead. In that case, everyone's dead. So this person's saying, okay, only I will die.
Put your seatbelt on now. Put your seatbelt on. I'm going to tell you a Chiddush from the land of Chidushim. Baba Tzia Samech Beis, Machloikes ben Petura and Rebbe Kiva. Two people walking in the desert. Only one has a jug of water. If he drinks, he'll survive. His friend will die. If they share, both will die. Says Ben Petura, you can't see your friend dying. You share. Ad Sheba Rebbe Kiva, and he taught, Chayecha koidmin lechayei chavercha. We normally understand. You must drink the water. Pikuach nefesh chayecha koidmin. Three of Gedolei Yisrael. Orach Chaim HaKodesh, not in his Perush Orach Chaim HaKodesh on the Torah, which is really a Perush on Rashi that branches out all kinds of places. That's a Perush on the Torah. But he also wrote halachic works. Piri Toar, Rishon LeZion, and Yoredea. And in Rishon LeZion, Yoredea says the Orach Chaim HaKodesh that what we always understood, that you have to drink the water, it's not true. Rabbi Akiva is giving you permission to drink the water if you want, but you don't have to. If you want to share the water, you can. Chiddush. The Machne Ephraim agrees with him. Shaul Teshuvos Halachos Ktanos, Moshe Chagis agrees with him. Israel, strong coalition. Three Gedolei Yisrael. Nobody else agrees with him. No one else. But we have three Gedolei Yisrael. They say, why not? You have permission.
No, but this is the reverse.
No. I'm strengthening what you say. Avad has permission. The Orach Chaim HaKodesh gave him permission. The Machne Ephraim, Halachos Ktanos, join them. Avad is allowed to. If everybody is anyways is going to be dead, so why not save others? So the Chazon Ish deals with this shaila.
The Gemara where it's surrounded, if there's a siege on the city.
Oh, you're sending us to Yerushalmi Masechet Trumus Perek Tes, and this is Paskin LaHalacha Shulchan Aruch Yoredea Kuf Nun Zayin. Goyim came and they took a group of Jews and they said, "Hand us one of you guys. We're going to kill him." They're not allowed to give over a person. Unless he's Chayav Misa, like Sheva ben Bichri. If he's Chayav Misa, you're allowed to give him over. But if he's not, you're not allowed to. So the Chazon Ish deals with this in Yoredea Likutim Simen Tes and Choshen Mishpat as well. A famous Chazon Ish, but I think most people quote him wrong. The Chazon Ish wants to say, when he wrote this, back then, if you would have looked at it, you would have laughed. It sounds like science fiction. Ridiculous. Back then, 90 years ago, he's writing, what if you shoot an arrow and it's going to hit a group of 100 people and you have the ability to redirect it midair to hit a group only of 30 people? Redirecting an arrow 90 years ago, what are you talking about today? Maisim shebechol yom, that's how wars are done today. You have a missile and midair, you redirect it to change its course. It happens all the time. Chazon Ish with Ruach HaKodesh wrote what's going to happen. And the Chazon Ish wants to say, you're not killing 30 people who are not in harm's way until now. I'm not in the killing business. I'm involved in a Maaseh Hatzalah. I'm saving the 100 people. Ultimately, I'm saving 70 people. 100 minus 30, I'm saving 70 people. What are you talking about? So everybody says, that's what the Chazon Ish says. It's incorrect. The Chazon Ish leaves it with a question mark. That's tzarich iyun by the Chazon Ish. The Tzitz Eliezer, years after him, deals with a similar question. A person was driving down the Carmel mountain, very, very steep, and he loses his brakes. There's 10 people in front of him, so if he does nothing, 10 people will die. If he turns the wheel to the right and goes on the sidewalk, there are 3 people there. Should he do it or not? It's the same shayla. I'm saving the group of 10. No, you're not. You're killing 3 people who are not in harm's way. Why are you endangering their lives? Says that Tzitz Eliezer is machriya la'alocha, sheve'al taiseh adif. Be passive. You can actively be involved in killing people that were not in harm's way until now. That's Tzitz Eliezer machriya, and he brings the Chazon Ish and he goes barichus kedarko b'kodesh because he has a lot to say.
It's not Pasha that it's from the Gemara, Mi Yomer, the Samach Tzvei, isn't that what the Gemara means?
You're sending us to Yom HaChavav. It's an interesting thing. We have 3 averos chamuris. 2, we have a pasuk. Avodah Zarah and Gilui Arayos. Shvichus Damim, we don't have a pasuk. Svara, my chazis. But that applies when Reuven comes to you and says, go and kill Shimon. If not, I kill you. So then we say, my chazis, who says your blood is redder in the eyes of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and is sweeter. Maybe his blood is redder than yours. I don't think we can apply this here. That's when you are about to be executed. If you don't do something actively and kill someone here, nobody is forcing you to do it.
As far as saying that you can't, say, commit murder because that's by definition making a decision on who's more chashiv.
So that's it.
Maybe the 3 people are more chashiv than the 10.
Very good. The Tzitz Eliezer does bring this idea, but Lemaisa is Machia because of what you say, not just because of what you say, but other ideas. Shev ve'al taise adif, be passive. Lemaisa Rebbe Yoshev Zatzal was asked when a hostage was taken, can we go and just kill them all? Rebbe Yoshev says like this, which is similar to what you said before, I think. If anyways they are going to kill the hostage, you can. What's the difference? But if not, and they're trying to gain something from you, they want to release their people or whatever it is, then you can't. Which means if the Israeli government would pass a law, the decision is we do not have any negotiations with terrorists, then you'd be able to do it. But since there is no such decision and we do negotiate with them, you can't go and kill.
Even if you're killing the hostage quicker, that means the Arabs are going to kill him in a month from now, maybe, and you're killing him today.
You're probably sending us to Psachim Tzadi Aleph. Gezeira Avida de Batla, Gezeira of Malchus, is going to be cancelled one day. If we know that anyways they're going to kill, it's hard to say that they're going to kill in a month. Why would they wait a month?
Even
If we think, if half hour for sure, yes, that's imminent. Chaye Shah, that's when it comes to Hatzala, and we have to save a person who's Chaye Shah or Chaye Oilam, we're going to go with the Chaye Oilam. But when we're talking about animals in disguise, they look like humans, but they're really not. And they're saying we're going to kill them all. So we're not trying to kill in order to kill, to get rid of him. We're trying to kill them. And we know it's a big possibility that our guy will die. Says the Bilosh if you can. But when there is a possibility for negotiations, like it is right now, even though it's kind of hard and it's not really working for us, then you cannot. You want to add something?
What about releasing their terrorists that are in their jails in exchange? Is that allowed?
So that has to go to, we have to start with Gitin Mem Hey Amud Aleph in the Mishnah. The Mishnah says, "En poidin es hashvuim yeser al kedei demehem." You can't release prisoners for more than they're worth. What does that mean? This was very relevant back then when people were taken, were captured, but not as a political bargaining chip, not for warfare, because people were taken as slaves. So then we say, don't do it. The Gemara entertains 2 thoughts. Why the Mishnah says what it says? Is it because we don't want to burden the public's funds? Or because we don't want them to encourage them to do further kidnapping? What's the nafkamina between the two? Private money. If somebody's very rich and he doesn't have to burden the public's fund, why not go and release your relative? This is a baya de lo ifshita. 2 ideas why the halacha in the Mishnah is what it is, left with a question mark, but paskin la halacha, that we cannot redeem them for more than they're worth. The Rambam wants to say it's because we don't want to encourage further kidnapping. But then again, 13 dapim later, daf nun ches in Gitin, the Gemara brings a Maaseh, but he knows it because we learn on Tisha B'Av, Abu Yeshua ben Chananya, who was in Rome in jail, and they told a little kid, was in jail in Rome, and Rabbi Yeshua ben Chananya came to Rome, and they told him, there's a kid here, something special. He went to jail, and he did some kind of a test, and he says, wow, this is going to be this is going to be an Adam Gadol. And he said, Avoida, Lashon Shavua, I'm not leaving here until I'm going to release him no matter what the sum is. And in fact, he did ask the Tosfos, excuse me, 13 pages ago, we said, we don't do this. Tosfos says 2 answers. Either an Adam Gadol is going to be a Gadol b'Yisrael, you're allowed to. Or when it's imminent, clear danger, you're allowed to. In other words, every jail poses a risk. But when it's so clear, and in the Roman soldiers back, in the Roman prisons back then, it was very, very dangerous, then one can. The question is, when we release 1,000 people for Gilad Shalit. 10 years ago, 12 years ago, we released 1,000 people. Everybody says, what are you doing? These people have blood on their hands. They're going to go back to terrorist activities. No, we're going to monitor them. But that's exactly what happened. And many of them participated in what happened in Simchas Torah. To really answer your question, we need the professionals to consult with the Rabbanim. Not less important than the security people is what this is going to do to the morale of the soldier. When a soldier goes into fight, knowing that Israel will stop at nothing to release him in case he is captured, he goes with 100% motivation. When he knows, it's not so sure, maybe we'll give one guy for you, maybe two, I'm not so sure, we're going to try, but not sure. His motivation is all the way down. What impact does that have? We need to speak to all the different professionals that deal with this. Army personnel, psychologists, in order to be able to establish and to form an opinion. They're not consulting with the rabbis. The army doesn't consult with the rabbis, but this things that we're dealing with.
Is there a difference in Pidyon Shurim? You know that the Shavui is Jewish or not, but Israeli?
This is a great question. When you're going now to release a hostage, and you're risking our own people for a goy. Many of the hostages are goy. And I think we have to and we must. The halacha is a doctor cannot treat on Shabbos a goy. You cannot be mechalel Shabbos for a goy. And yet, I don't know if there are any doctors in the crowd here. We do it all the time. Why? Eva, animosity. If you don't treat my people, they're going to treat our people. Somewhere, all over the world, it's a big place, and they don't like us no matter where you go. They're going to say, they don't take care of the Jewish doctors, they don't take care of goyim. We're not going to take care of them. It's going to cause a major Eva. And therefore you mechalel Shabbos to save a goy. This is no different. Anybody needs to know that when Israel, there's a hostage that came from us, we're going to go all out. Otherwise, the same thing, chas v'sholem, can happen to a Jewish person who is taken hostage in wherever it is in the world. Chas v'sholem. And they will say, you don't save our people, we're not going to save your people. I think it's the same. And therefore, because of Eva, animosity, we must release him. A few months ago, one of the soldiers died in Kiddush Hashem. They came to be Menachem the family. And the family found some nechama in the fact that a person who dies in Kiddush Hashem, Baba Basa Daf Yud, Tanis Daf Yud Ches Amud Beis in Rashi, Psochim Daf Nun, he's called Harugei Malchus, Kedoshei Elyon, and Birya Yechoila La'amod B'mchitzasa. No one comes close, in the highest of highs. But during the Shiva, towards the end of the Shiva, a group of his friends came to be Menachem the family. And they told him what really happened. It was friendly fire. We were going, and we thought he is one of the Hamas. So they took their guns and they shot at him, killing their own friend. And this mamish broke the family. Mamish broke them down. But as a result, 3 questions came about. Question number 1. A Jewish soldier who was killed in friendly fire. Does he also get the title Harugei Malchus? Kedoshei Elyon. En birya yechoila la'amod b'mchitzasan. But he wasn't killed by a goyim, he was killed by a Yid. Question number 2. The guy who shot. Does he need kapara? He took a life. Question number 3. Let's say the guy who shot is a Kohen. Can he do it? Shulchan Aruch Chaim, Siman Kuf Kaf Ches, we learn Kohen sheharag es hanefesh can't use the same hands. Yadeichem damim aleyu, the Navi says, your hands are full of blood. With those hands you want to bless my people? Even B'shoigig, says the Shulchan Aruch. Aboy Say Dayani Mumchim, does he get the title Harugei Malchus? What Harugei Malchus? Harugei Malchus, the title will give to a Yid who was killed by the Goyim. He was killed by his friends. What do you say? Terrible shilas. Should be only the halacha, chas v'sholem lemaise, but these came about in the last few months. What do you say?
He was there on a mission. And part of that mission, doing the mistake.
You're dealing with a second question. I'm going for the first question. The person who was killed, is he Harugei Malchus or not?
He got killed because he was there on his mission.
And therefore,
In the process of,
so you're saying it is because of the goyim?
yeah,
Otherwise, he wouldn't be here.
right.
He would be sitting in Yerushalayim. He's still learning by the Koisel. So he is Harugei Malchus. I like your svara. You think we're going to pass in a Bezdin without documentations? Some kind of a source based on your svara? I love your svara, but it's a Bezdin. A Bezdin, we need documentations. I'm not picky. I said before, I'll take anything. Just give me something. What do you say? Harugei Malchus or not? What's enough kamina?
Of knowing that Harugei Malchus.
Good question. Ooh, nafkamina. Maharil. Simin tzadites. Maharil. Most of the minhagim of Bnei Ashkenaz come from the Maharil. What are the Rishonim? The Maharil bring the opinion of the Maharach or Zarua. This is Rabbi Yisrael, Gedolei Rishonim. That a person who died on Kiddush Hashem, we don't say Shiva for him. We don't say Kaddish for him. Why? What do you do what do you do Kaddish? To elevate the neshama in the olam ha'seidonim. He doesn't need. He's in the highest of highs. What are you Navelus for? The Maharil brings this opinion and he rejects it. He doesn't agree. But there's another sefer called Oitza Yad Chaim, Harav Babad, not connected to the Minchas Chinuch, another Babad, and he brings another Or Zarua, which is exactly the opposite. A person that died in Kiddush Hashem, Klal Yisrael must say Kaddish for him, and his wife is not allowed to get married again. What a Kiddush! She's naked on Almana of a Melech. Almana of a king is not allowed to remarry. It's not kavodik to the niftar that she is going to be with someone else. What a Kiddush! Exactly the opposite of what you said before. Klal Yisrael mechuyav to say Kaddish, two nafkaminas. But I want to know without nafkaminas. How does the Kodesh Baruch Hu look at this? Is it called Harugei Malchus or not? Shvuos Lamedhei Amud Beis. The Gemara says a king that goes to war. Milchemes HaReshus, Toisa says, not Milchemes Mitzvah. And up to a sixth of the soldiers die, there's no taina on that melech. If there's more than a sixth of the soldiers died, he's going to have to give accounting when he goes upstairs. You see, it's only natural that in the commotion of war, there are mistakes. People will die. The Chofetz Chaim wrote a sefer for soldiers, Jewish soldiers in foreign countries, armies, called Machne Yisrael. And in Machne Yisrael, he says that every Jewish soldier who goes to battle, every single morning should daven that I should not kill one of my friends around me. And the footnote he explains, because in the commotion of the war, many times a person takes his own sword and stabs his brother. So it seems that it's only natural that a person has... there are mistakes that happen in war. And they will be called Harugei Malchus. Who told me? The Bartanura. Masechet Beitza, Perek Aleph Mishnah Yud. Based on a Gemara in Masechet Shabbos Daf Samech. On Shabbos, Chazal decreed one is not allowed to leave the house with sandal ha-mesumar. What means sandal ha-mesumar? Cleats. A shoe or a sneaker that has spikes. And why not? Because the boys are Ma'aseh. The Gemara says the Roman soldiers were running after the Jews. They were hiding in a cave. And when they heard the Roman soldiers coming in, there was the first Meron tragedy. Remember what happened in Meron a few years ago? That was the first time they were so nervous. They ran out and they trampled over each other. A lot of people died. Chazal say it happened on Shabbos. Therefore, from now on, no more sandal ha-mesumar. Says the Bartanura. These are called Harugei Malchus. Don't tell me a Jew killed him. It's because of the Romans. Your svara, exactly. Exactly what you said. That's the source that you wanted. It's because of the Jews that they had to run. Mimele, they're called Harugei Malchus. Okay, good. They get the title Harugei Malchus. I once asked Reb Chaim. I was supposed to be Menachem Avel, a secular person, secular family that lost their son. It was a terror attack. For example, do you remember the Sbarro restaurant 22 years ago or so? Imagine, Sbarro is a kosher restaurant, but imagine, a person is sitting in a restaurant, he is eating shellfish, on Yom Kippur that falls on Shabbos while listening to music, and the place explodes just because they're Jewish people. Goyim killed him. Is he called a Kaddish? It's called a Kaddish. Does everything against the Rebbeinu Shalom. So I told Reb Chaim, Rebbe, I'm going to visit this family that lost their son, terrorist attacks. A Goy killed him just because he's Jewish, but he was very, very far from Yiddishkeit. Can I be Menachem them and tell them, your son was a Kaddish? The dispute about it. Rebbe, what do you say? He says to me, yes. I said, Rebbe, not enough. I need a source. I heard then from Reb Chaim the biggest Chiddush I've heard in my life. And I asked him thousands of shaylas. Reb Chaim says to me, אני לא זוכר, צריך לחפש. Reb Chaim Kanievsky doesn't remember. Biggest Chiddush. What's that?
Rashi says in, I think it's Ein Tes, in Tehillim, Sar Chasidech L'Chaisa Oretz Yeshoim Hoyu.
Oh. Very good. Tzayal Kuchimoni. But I have a better source. Reb Chaim says to me, Bazoyar, צריך לחפש. הלכתי לחפש. I went to look. I think I have the source. Bereishis Daf Lamed Ches, the Zohar says, there are 7 chambers up there. Sheva Heichalos. And the Zohar describes who sits in which chamber. And the Zohar says, in the 4th chamber, sit all those who were killed in the hands of Goyim just because they're Jewish. The Zohar doesn't say, only if they ate kosher mehadlin, dilch eat chalav Yisrael. The Zohar doesn't say that. The Zohar says, you're a Yid, he was killed by a Goy just because of that, he gets to sit there. And you have to assume there are different levels within that chamber. Because it can't be that Rebbe Kiva sits in the same place with this guy.
Would it be fair to say that they didn't kill them because they're Jewish, they killed them because they wanted the land, and they'll kill anyone who's there for the land?
It would be fair to say that if it was true.
They're not going to come to New York to kill Yidden.
Vayadua she'esav soine liYaakov. I didn't say it. Reb Shimon Bar Yochai says it. Reb Shimon Bar Yochai always dashens time at the Kra. Here he doesn't give any explanation. Vayadua halacha. Vayadua esav soine liYaakov. Tell me, they're not doing things here as well? You're saying here they're not going to come. They're already here. And they're not in different countries as well. I don't want to be a chas v'shalom nevizam. Chas v'shalom.
Hamas, it doesn't, or any of this organization doesn't say anything about
No,
Jews. It says about the
there's
land.
nothing to do with us. Chas v'shalom. They love us. We're best brothers. We're best friends. Did you see what happened in Simchas Torah? It's just about killing.
How many guns did they take?
First of all, a lot, but they didn't really care.
Philippines, they didn't care.
They didn't really care.
It wasn't about Jews.
But
It
what
was
they,
about
but
the
what they,
land.
but what they did, but what they did, not just coming and killing. The way they did it, is because we are Jewish, and the hostages that are released, the maisim that they tell us, has nothing to do with the land.
The land doesn't excuse.
They can't stand us. What's their slogan? What's their slogan?
From the river to the sea, it's land.
Throw them all into the water. The slogan should be like in Meir Kahana. Transfer. Guys, here, we'll give you money, leave. Why are they not offering that? Why kill us? Why not transfer? Go to America. Sit in Monsey. For some reason, they're not suggesting it. We cannot be naive and think, but maybe if we'll give them enough, maybe. Is there another here? Is there Yeshaya here? With Targum Yonatan ben Uziel? I'll tell you a Metzia, you're not going to believe. Yeshaya Kav Ches, Perek Koyach, Pasuk Tesvav. Pilei Ploim. Everybody says, maybe we didn't try hard enough. Let's go back to the negotiation table. Just give him a little more land, you'll see. The Navi decided doesn't work. Perek Koyach. Write it down. Pilei Ploim, Koach, Tesvav. The Navi Yeshaya is not from 3 years ago, not from 5 years ago. Navi.
Before Shalom.
Ki amartem karasnu vris es maves. You have said we made a covenant with death. Ve'im sheol asinu choyze. We made a contract with the depth. I don't understand a word he's saying. Don't know what he's saying. Targum Yonatan ben Uziel. Do they have here? Ariya Mautun, 2 points. Gazarna Kaya im Katola. You said you made a covenant with Katola. What's Katola? Lethal ones who kill. Ve'i mechabla. What's a mechabel? Terrorist. Ve'i mechabla avadna shalma. You said you made peace with the terrorists. Listen what the Navi says. Mechas sanea arei tesei alechon kenachal migbar. The enemy won't stop, and he will continue to strike you, and it will increase like the river overflows. There is no peace treaty with terrorists. Rabbi Yishaya. It was unbelievable.
But the Gedolei Yisrael felt they were in favor of the disengagement. I was there in Eretz Yisrael when a reaction Paskin, they should go with Ariel Sharon and do it.
Avad Yosef went
Did
again.
you sit there with Rabbi Yosef and get all the information?
No.
Why he said what he
That's
said?
why I'm asking you.
I'm just giving a Navi Yishaya that says you should know peace treaty. It wasn't a peace treaty. This was giving him something in return for something. We're not, and it's different than the peace treaty with Egypt, which is not considered terrorists. This is with Mechabla, terrorists. This is a country. Egypt is a country. Jordan is a country. Saudi Arabia, tomorrow maybe, is a country. But terrorists, like Hamas, is what the Navi Yishaya speaks about.
But why do you think the Gedolei Yisrael were...
Because I'm not privy to the information that they had at the time. You're also not. We cannot judge based on what we don't know. So I think the first shayla we covered, we're good. Harugei Malchus, Gevaldik. The person who shot, does he need kapara? He shot, he took a life of a Yid. Does he need kapara? Yes, no, maybe, ulai.
The Shavur brings in Hilchos Yom Kippur, Jews that were sent. They sent someone else to do something, and then they ended up dying if they're achroi for that. There's a whole reshima of someone who comes there.
Right.
So there is mashro, but there is a need for kapara. But that maybe this is different.
I think for killing, he doesn't need kapara. It's not mezid avade. It's not shoygeg. It's oines gamu. You see a guy running with a gun. What are you supposed to do? You think he's an Arab. You must shoot and kill. It's dark. You don't know. You can't say, excuse me, Shema Yisrael, you complete the pasuk. You don't have time. It's either you shoot or he shoots. Complete oines. No kapara for the shooting, but kapara for something else. מגלגלין זכוס על ידי זכאי, שבס למד בייס עמוד א', וחויב על ידי חייב, the person who shot is supposed to look up and say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, why was it supposed to be me? Why was it supposed to be me? ראי על הדבר, סנהדין צדיעי עמוד א'. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to David, עד מתי יהיה עוון זה? Until when is this sin going to be on your shoulders? That Noiv, the city of Kohanim, was killed because of you. Domi was killed because of you. Shaul and his 3 sons were killed because of... Excuse me, what do you want from me, says David. Because of you. Because of me? You have some kind of a shaykhus. In Pikuach Nefesh, we're very machmir. Ma'ari Vayil, one of the Rishonim before the Sam Sofer. Ma'ari Vayil, Simen Kuf Chaf Hey, writes, imagine, how far a drive is it from here to, I don't know, Monticello? An hour, 50 minutes. I'm not going to try. I want to sit and learn. So I call a cab driver. Do me a favor. Go pick up something for me in Monticello. Or deliver. He starts driving. 5 minutes later, car accident. Nothing to do with me. Either because he doesn't know how to drive, or because the other guy doesn't know how to drive. And he dies. Do I need kapara? What's the connection? Why am I connected to this? Says the Marival, you need kapara. Not for the killing. Avada, you were not involved in the killing. Megalgalin schus al yedei zaikai, choiva al yedei chayv, and you have to ask Ribboni Shalom, why would it have to be me? You need kapara. So I think he needs kapara for that. But what about if he's a kohen? So the Shulchan Aruch says even b'shoigeg lo yisa kapav, he can't do chen. But the Rema says if it's b'shoigeg he can. Why? Shelo linol deles b'fnei baalei tshuva. The guy says all his Chaverim, the Kohanim, they go up Duchening, and he has to sit there. It's so embarrassing. I'm never coming back here again. And who knows where he's going. This is not even b'shoigeg. It's b'oines. I think here even the Shulchan Aruch would agree, and the Shulchan Aruch doesn't discuss Hilchos Milchama. He doesn't talk about soldiers. You know why? For a very simple reason. Because back then, 450 years ago, there was no army, there was no Medinat Eretz Yisrael, a country that we run. Shulchan Aruch doesn't talk about Hilchos police and Hilchos army because it didn't exist.
Yeah, you had it in World War I where you had Yiddish soldiers fighting each other. It would be the same thing.
True. I think World War I came a little after the Shulchan Aruch, maybe 320, 330 years after.
Same shayla. What would you pass them over the clear?
I think he can. It's be'oines. And the Rema, he's going to say, Kimli l'kida Rema. The Rema says, a Baal Tshuva. And who says he was a Jew who killed a Jew? Maybe he was called the parish, Miruba parish, Mistama, he killed a Goy. And the Chikrei Lev already, Chaim Palaji's son, says that when you kill a Goy, it's a machloikis if he can duchen or not, and we are makel that if he kills a Goy, even according to the Shulchan Aruch, he can duchen. So I think he definitely can duchen. Rabbi say, a terrible shayla. Amish terrible. While this was happening, Simchas Torah, there was a father who knows exactly what was going on. Everybody was SMSing each other, and they knew exactly what was going on WhatsApp. So he lives in one of the kibbutzim down there, and he has two sons. His father, the grandfather, the old man, lives across the street. He doesn't hear well. He doesn't know what's going on. We have to inform him that he has to go into the safe place. Now he has a shayla. He has two sons. One of them is a shoite. One of them is a chacham, is normal. Shoite, halachic definition, pato mikol mitzvahs. The age doesn't make a difference to me. They're both 11 and 12, or they're both 14 and 15. He's asking, whom should I send to inform the grandfather? Now, he sent 1,000,000 times his kids just to cross the street and go tell Saba the following information. That's not a problem. He's writing a little note. Just because it's the actual activity of crossing the street they can do. The question is, it's very dangerous. There's Hamas terrorists out there. It's dangerous. Whom should I endanger? The shoite or the chacham?
Or should he endanger at all?
He himself can't leave. He's on a wheelchair. He can't leave. I have to send one of the kids to save the grandfather. Right now, there's no Hamas outside. Okay, go right now, but it's dangerous. Whom do you endanger? The shoite or the chacham? The chacham. Why does he have a better chance of survival? You know, I once asked Maran Reb Chaim Kanievsky Zatzal a terrible shayla. I said to him, Rebbe, I'm going to the beach now. I see a chacham drowning here, and I see 3 shoitim drowning here. Who do I go save? I can only be in one place at the same time. You know, I can't be in both places. What do you say? Reb Chaim told me that 3 shoitim in the Akdama Tomei Nevuchim, Reb Yotom Elem says, Toivli hatzalas chacham echad yoiser me-1,000 schalim. I better save one chacham than 1,000 fools. That's his language. One of the Rishonim. Yom Tov Elem bileploim. Sefer Hasidim. Simen Taf.
Chacham refers to Talmid Chacham or just a person who's normal?
Talmid Chacham. But I asked the Chaim Chacham and 3 shoitim. I stopped there. I didn't ask him what if it's 100 shoitim. I didn't. I asked only 3 shoitim. The Chaim says, save the Chacham. Sefer Hasidim, Simen Taf Reish Ches Tzadi. I don't say Tzadi Ches because I don't want to say that word. Taf Reish Tzadi Ches. So I'm going to say Taf Reish Ches Tzadik. It's better to bathe. Tirchatz. You see, to a language of Sefer Hasidim. If an Amaretz and a Chacham are sitting together, and the Goyim come and say, one of you, mitzvah ala Amaretz to say, take me and not the Talmid Chochem. Like the Meister with Rebbe Kiva and Rebbe Reuven, it's true Bali. Sefer Hasidim. Vida Chosid. But that's to normal people. It's just one is Talmid Chochem, one is an Amaretz. What about the Shoite? Wouldn't you rather, afraid to say this, lose the Shoite and not lose the Chacham? It's dangerous. We're endangering someone. If we have to lose one of them, isn't it better? I mean, just across the street, they both know what to do. It's not such a big deal. They did it many times in the past. Wouldn't you rather lose the shoyte?
How come you're not asking they shouldn't go at all?
We have to try and help. We said before the Mishnah Berurah, Shir Chavtes. If one is medakdek too much, chas v'shalom soifo sheba lidei kach. You have to, in a time of war, you have to try to save a life. And it's just crossing the street. We did it many times in the past. Look to the right, look to the left, hope for the best, daven, and send them. You're not sending them when the terrorist is out there shooting. How about not? Such an element, some kind of an element of risk. Of course we can take.
So it goes back to that same argument before, how do we know whose blood is red? We don't know.
Perfect. And for that we need a source. That's exactly why I came here, to ask you for a source. Rabbi say a source you're not going to believe. Avoid us what the flamme would base. Our shala is mamish there. Omer Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer says a person is allowed to eat grapes and figs at night. There's an answer. Okay, next shala. You're looking at me like it's not clear. Again, Rabbi Eliezer Omer, one is allowed to eat grapes and figs at night. Isn't it our shayla mamish? Ve'eino choishish, and he doesn't have to worry because shoymer pesoim Hashem. The pasuk in Tehillim Kuf Yud says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu watches over those who are ignorant in the matter. What in the world is he saying? Chazal said, you're not allowed to drink certain beverages that were left uncovered the whole night. The way to remember it, V'chol ha'chaim. Chaim, ches, yud, yud, mem. Ches is chalav, milk. Yud, yud is yain, wine. And mem, wine. Dangerous. What's so dangerous? Maybe a snake came last night, put some poison there. Don't drink it. Sakana. So why are you allowed to eat figs and grapes at night? Rabbi Eliezer explains. In the process of making grapes and figs, you can't cover them at all times. They must be exposed. Since you're forced to leave them open, don't worry, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives you siyata dishmaya, shoymer psaim Hashem. The other beverages, it's your negligence. Why didn't you cover them? We told you to cover them, and then you can drink in the morning. You didn't. You can't drink it. Says the Toras Chaim. Toras Chaim is a Kadmon. It's about 400 years. And that Gemara. Avoid the Zoralam et Abud Beis. HaKadosh Baruch Hu chafetz betikun oilamoy. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants this place to be a place where you can actually live. And therefore, if you are forced not to do something, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, don't worry, I'll help you. You have special siyat dishmaya, protection from Shemayim. Which means, if you're sending out the Chacham, and he can take care of himself, but he's 14, 15 years old, and he wants to see what the matzav is, the tourists out there want to see what's going on, and you're afraid he's not going to watch yourself, send the shoite. Because he cannot take care of himself, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to take care of him. Mamish Oshayla, no? You see how beautiful our Torah is? You go and find grapes and figs that avoid the Zolam Adon base. You know what to do with a pikuach nefesh of Shayla in Simchas Torah Tavshin Pei Daled. What a Torah. Also, the Mishnah in Horias Yud Gimel, Sidrei Kedima, prioritization when you're saving a life. We have nothing against Levim. But if a Kohen and a Levi drown, and everything else is equal, you have to save the Kohen first. Why? He has more mitzvahs. Levi and Israel, save the Levi, he has more mitzvahs than Israel. A man and a woman, there's no women in the crowd, right? We have nothing against them, but you have to say, anyone who is more mekudash, has more mitzvahs, you save him first. I don't know for sure. I didn't find a raya yet, but it could be that the same logic follows. If you have to save the person who has more mitzvahs first, it could be that when it comes to endanger someone, you should endanger the one who has less mitzvahs first, which means we have to send the shoite. I'm not so sure we can be medame milsa lemilsa here, but it makes sense to me, but I still need a raya for that. But maybe Rabbi Eliezer with his figs and grapes provide our raya. Rabbi say, you have Koya for another question? You with me? I don't want you to fall asleep. Moira de Kashayla. When this was going on, Simchas Torah, there was a father with 2 kids at home. and he saw what was going on, and his home is not safe, but he has a safe place outside the house. He has to run out. 2 little kids, he can only take one with him. 2 beautiful, sweet kids. But the truth is that he likes Moshe more than he likes Reuven. Can he decide, just because I like Moshe a little more, I'll take Moshe? They're both Chachamim, Nevoinim, Burim, Yodim, Eskola, Torah Kula. We're not talking about Chacham and Shoyt like before. Different Shaila. Reuven and Shimon, what we said before, Moshe and Reuven, they're both great kids. But I happen to like Moshe. A little more Reuven is a little more mischievous. Sometimes he doesn't listen to me. Can I take Moshe just because I like him more? Or maybe you should do a goyral. $1 million Shaila. A boy say, what you don't like it, huh? What do you want to do, a goyral? How do you want to decide? You have to decide and you have 2 minutes. What do you do?
Why is a girl better?
What's that?
Why is a girl better?
A girl?
Girl.
Why is the girl better? Let HaKadosh Baruch Hu decide. I have to decide who's going to live and who's not? Who am I? HaKadosh Baruch Hu decide whose blood is brother. When in the world would I decide? Sometimes you don't listen to me. You stay. Or maybe not. Why not? Why not? You're prioritizing Pikuach Nefesh because you like him, because he listened to you? He's going to be good although maybe one day. The other kid that you're leaving here. Who gave you that koyach to decide? So let the Kodesh Baruch Hu decide by his goyral.
Maybe our parents Baruch Hu decide by the fact that maybe you like this kid better. Why is a girl more the...
What does it mean, kid better? The fact that he listens to me more and he smiles more and he says, Abba, I love you. That means he should live? Maybe your education towards the other kid is lacking. That's why it's not so nice to you.
What's the makar for a girl via communication of Hashem to a person?
Sefer Hasidim. Sefer Hasidim says, forget about Sefer Hasidim. Yoina Hanavi. And Sefer Hasidim brings Yoina Hanavi. Sefer Hasidim talks about 2 ships that are going, and you have to decide only one can pass. Who goes first? There's a storm in the ocean. Who goes first? One can live, one not. He says, use a goyra. 2 Sefer Hasidim, there seems to be a stira between them. Shus Yankov and others discuss it. But we have sources that the goyra can decide things. You don't like goyra, fine. You have a different way to decide. Just because you like Moshe more, so you want to take him with you, is that legit? What is that? Or give me a different eitzah how to get out of it. No problem. What do you say? What are you saying?
If not a girl, then maybe it's better to take the less favored one, because then it's like a muster on you to do
Not only am I leaving the great kid behind, now I'm stuck with the one that doesn't listen. You have a source? I hear what you're saying. Musa. Why not just go to a shir and I don't know, and Mesilas Yesharim later if you want some Musa? I'm sorry? I can't hear you. Loko v'sisro b'metzia lamed beis. Talmid Chochem is sending us to Metzia Lamed Beis, so the Gemos is a remarkable thing. It's a mitzvah d'oraisa to help your friend unload his donkey. But what if you have your friend who needs to load the donkey, and you have the guy that is nasty, and you can't stand him, and he needs to, you need to help your friend unload the donkey, and you have the enemy, that the guy you don't like, you need to help him load the donkey. So the Gemara, go help the guy you can't stand. But it's a mitzvah d'oraisa. The machlokes, if Tzar Balechaim is a mitzvah d'oraisa, or Paskin, it's a mitzvah d'oraisa. And yet, go help your enemy to load the donkey and to cause the animal Tzar Balechaim. Why? Lakuf is yitzro. Combat your yetzer hara and overcome it. We don't want you to hate anyone in Klal Yisrael. He doesn't hate this kid. He just likes the other kid better. So why is it Lakuf is yitzro? He likes him. He doesn't. It's not like he hates him. Parshas Vayishlach. Yaakov Avinu is about to fight Esav. Vayasem, he divides the camp. How? He decides to put the Shvachos and their kids first, and Leah behind, and Rachel, that he likes better, all the way behind. Excuse me, what are you doing? That's how you decided Pikuach Nefesh Shaila? Because I like him. Rashi. 3 words. Achron, Chaviv. Rashi. You know why he did it? Why did he put Rachel when the kids in back? Because you like her best. He likes the whole family better. It's only Rashi. Targum Yonasan ben Uzir, Ibn Ezra, Radak. Everybody is saying on that pasuk the same idea. He said, you know what? We're going to start fighting. Mitzvah Hashem, they will be secure by the time. Maybe he's going to kill a few in the front, but they'll be okay. That's how you paskin Shailis Yaakov Avinu. What happened to you? Achon Chaviv.
There's no girl over there?
No! Achon Chaviv. Comes Rav Steinman Zatzal, and he says something which is so hard to digest. He says, why are you surprised? What do you do when you have two types of food on your table and you don't know which one to say the bracha first? Chaviv! So just like Hilchos Brachos, Chaviv goes first. It's not Rav Steinman's Chiddush. The Ralbag says the same thing on that pasuk. Rav Steinman was mechaven to the Ralbag. He says you have to choose the lesser evil. If there's two tzaros in front of you, and to Yaakov Avinu, to choose the lesser evil was that Rachel and her kids will survive. That's to him, is lesser evil. Ralbag, Rishonim. Based on that, in our case, you take the Chaviv. You take, what do we say you like better? We like Moshe, right? He takes Moshe with him. One of the Talmidim of Reb Chaim Volozhin, his name was Rabbi Shaya Bardaki, 220 years ago. He came to Eretz Yisrael.
Did we say a svara now, or we just said a makar?
Makor, wow, what a source! Yaakov Avinu!
Svara, what's the reason?
Achron Chavivus. The Ralbag, Rashi, the Radak, Ibn Ezra, Targum Yonasan. They all say Chavivus.
What's on the
Just like Hilchos Brachos. That's what the Ralbag says. Pele. Mamish a pele. Rabbi Shaya Bardaki came from Vilna to Eretz Yisrael. When he was a few miles close to the shore, Eretz Yisrael, whatever he was on, tiny little something in the, is drowning. He jumped off. He was with his girl and with his son. He took him on his back and he swims and he swims and he swims and he swims and he doesn't have more koyach. And if it continues, everybody will die. So he stops and he says to his girl, you have to let go. That's what the Halacha says, Shulchan Aruch Yoredeh Reish Nun Beis. We save the son, the boy, before we save the girl. If all else is equal, he's more mekudesh, he has more mitzvahs. I have nothing against you. I actually happen to like you a lot. You have to stay. And his daughter starts crying. Abba! What are you doing? I only have one Abba, I only have one Tati. Don't let go. What are you doing? What are you doing, Abba? And somehow when he heard her yelling, he got a second wind. He said, Abba. And he swam and he got all the way to the shore. He got it. He made it there. And he passed out. When he came to, he looked at his kids and he told them, whenever in life you're going to be faced with a challenge, you do what you did before. You look up and you say, Abba, I only have one Abba in the world. You have to help me. What are you doing? You have to help me. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu will help. We daven every single day. Shachris. Yotzei Or. We say HaKadosh Baruch Hu, He is Baal Milchamos. Contrary to popular belief, it's not Biden, it's not Netanyahu. They are puppets. They're meaningless. People spend too much time on trying to figure out and analyzing. But what if, and what if? Hashem ish milchama. He is Bala milchamos, and he can end it tonight. It's already morning in Eretz Yisrael. The morning, Imetz Hashem. We have to daven. We spoke before about the bitachon, the emunah that we have to have. There's a Haggadah called Yadav Emunah, Reb Shlomo Burenstein. He was a Talmid in the Mir at the time of the Holocaust. And he writes that when the terrible news from the Holocaust came to Eretz Yisrael, The Talmidim were so confused. The young kids hearing these atrocities, they didn't know what to do with themselves. They wanted to hear the right Ashkafa Satoya. They wanted to hear Reb Chetzkel Levenstein. They knocked on his door. Didn't answer. They knocked again in his office. He didn't answer. So they assumed either he doesn't hear them, or he doesn't feel well. Let's go in quietly. They opened the door. And they couldn't believe what they saw. Reb Chetzkel Levenstein was sitting like this on the table and crying and yelling, Ribono shel Olam! I remember them. I remember my friends from Vilna. I remember that I grew up with them. Why were they zoichet to die at Kiddush Hashem, and why didn't I zoichet? Why wasn't I zoichet to it? I remember them all. Why wasn't I zoichet to die at Kiddush Hashem like them? He kept repeating it again and again to himself. They never got to ask him the question they wanted, but they got the answer and they got the right ashkaf after that. We daven every day, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Al Tivyenu L'Idei Nisayon. We don't want nisyonis. But when they do come and present themselves, we accept them with love. If it's Hashem, a shir like this will only be la'alocha, not le'maisa, even though some of the things are mamish relevant and they happened. Should never happen again. It's Hashem. Our next year is not here. It's in Yerushalayim Ir HaKodesh, holding all hands in front of Beis HaMikdash, dancing with Mashiach Tzidkenu, Be'korov B'yameinu V'noimar.